Consistent values throughout your church's ministry systems will best support the most basic system of all, the immediate family. In most cases, kids still have to follow their parents to church. Since kids can't drive themselves, even if their church experiences are compelling, getting there can be a problem if the parents won't support their desire to go. I recently toured a new state-of-the-art children's facility, and it was impressive to say the least. My host excitedly described how the church's leadership team believed the facility would attract more kids to church, and their hunch proved to be correct. Now, some people might think attendance went up because kids wanted to be there more than they did before, but I'd suggest that attendance went up because the parents wanted their kids to be there more than they did before. Impressing parents always trumps impressing children because parents love their children more than children love their venues. Children seldom think to themselves, "Nothing's too good for me," but parents always think to themselves, "Nothing's too good for my children." In past generations, parents were more content to allow their kids to go with friends wherever the parents of their friends would take them. But today, fear and affluence both work against us. The growing fear of children's safety in our society make it less attractive to send our kids anywhere, and more affluence actually takes parents away from their homes on the weekends with their children in the back seat. Statistically, half of the kids who become Christians before they graduate from high school are led to Christ by their parents. So what's the best strategy? Do you develop a great children's ministry and hope their parents will come with them? Or do you develop a ministry that attracts adults knowing that their kids will come as well? Actually, it doesn't have to be one or the other. There's no reason to develop one ministry system at the expense of another. But the evidence suggests that the kingdom is built most quickly by reaching children before they have a chance to become distracted by the cares of the world. It's funny how the emphasis in the New Testament is for adults to stop being so distracted by the cares of the world that they lose their focus on building the kingdom of God. Now, I don't think that's a coincidence, especially after reading that half of the kids who become Christians before they graduate from high school are led to Christ by their parents. But there's more. Look at the numbers specifically about a father's influence. If a mother is the first to become a Christian in the family, there's a 17 probability that everyone in the family will follow. But if a father is the first to become a Christian in a household, there's a 93% probability that everyone in the household will follow. So now what's the best strategy? Should you develop an effective children's ministry and hope their parents will bring them rather than simply send them? Or do you develop a ministry that attracts fathers, knowing their wives and children will be highly influenced to come with them? And the answer, of course, is once again both. And when a consistent value system is embedded in every ministry system, one strategy provides support for the others. 61% of all Christians are women. Christian publishers know that 70% of Christian retail customers are women, which is why fewer men can be found browsing the aisles in your local Christian bookstore. The culture has shifted. The once too domineering father has now become the all too disconnected father. And our job as church leaders is to help men find balance, to take responsibility to simply be who they are, to embrace their created design as men, to both lead and love their families, and thereby become highly influential at church as well as at home. The church should be a place where men feel at home. The Bible places a huge emphasis on masculinity. When God describes himself, it's as Father. When he reveals himself through a child, the child is a son. The Old Testament is filled with very engaging stories of wars and mayhem. When Jesus described how he was going to build his church, he predicted he would become something like a special ops force, storming the gates of hell and taking back what our enemy had stolen. The Bible talks about the essence of the Christian life as being spiritual warfare. And if you aren't fully geared up, survival behind enemy lines becomes less likely. The Apostle Paul described life as if it were about athletes in the Olympic Games training to box and run. That's all male speak, the kinds of things that should normally draw men into the conversation. But there are never more men than women at any church event, unless it's a retreat or a Bible study that doesn't allow women to attend anyway. And that's a problem. How do you ask a man to turn off the NFL so he can come sit in a designer auditorium, sing songs that he could sing to either Jesus or his wife or girlfriend without changing the lyrics, and then listen to a politically correct sermon? It's no wonder why other religions have much better gender balance than our churches do. we've neutered the Christian faith. Now, I'm not suggesting that we swing the pendulum to the other and equally unhealthy extreme and overlook the humility and gentleness of Jesus, but if a father's role is that important, there must be ways we can leverage it. Better ways to, for example, platform men in worship services, or find men to fill leadership and service roles, even though they don't volunteer as readily as women do. Or maybe to platform families who can demonstrate their vital role in evangelizing and discipling children. Or maybe even allowing maturing Christian fathers to baptize other members of their family. If we can drastically increase the number of children we minister to by ramping up our ministry to fathers and mothers, then let's do it. In fact, let's be intentional about connecting parents and their children to their common mission by elevating common values. But remember, you only have 5 hours a week. So that conversation has to reach beyond providing just special events or conferences and somehow energize our flywheel by impacting our strategies for weekend worship and small group experiences.